Hello. Very happy to be in my hometown. Always so happy. Yesterday party was amazing. Nice new building. We're gonna go back to basics. We're gonna talk about AI and startups, and then gonna apply these definitions to a couple of cases that are happening in Estonia. So, what is AI? There are two photos here. One is Kasparov playing against Deep Blue in 1997. Deep Blue winning, the best chess player in the world. Another one visualizes the simulation of nuclear bomb, so physics simulation. And if you would be asking, out of these two options, which of them is more AI? So, who thinks that the chess playing Deep Blue is more AI? I think so as well. Good. And I'm going to sum up the results as well. And who thinks that the nuclear simulation is more AI? Nuclear bomb physics simulation. I don't believe it. So I think only one or two hands. So it's about like 98% of you thought that the Deep Blue is more AI than nuclear bomb simulation. And it's a common answer. Everyone thinks like this. I do as well. But let's think about this situation. In Deep Blue, there was no machine learning. So it was a rule-based system. They kind of went and checked almost all the possible moves, and then there were some rules. And in modern nuclear simulations or any physics simulation, there is a lot of machine learning because they optimize this huge code, the parameters, against the real world. So they're optimizing with machine learning the simulation so that it will be real. So it's very common practice there to use machine learning. Amount of code, lines of code written, lot more in nuclear bomb simulation or any physics simulation than in the chess. Computing power used. Again, less in chess engine, modern phone can beat the best chess player in the world at the moment. So basically, by most of the measures I can think of, actually almost all of the technical measures I can think of, the Deep Blue is less advanced, less AI, less machine learning, and so on. But we still think about the word that it is this. So, and I think AI is one of the most important topics for this century, and I think there is some kind of confusion there, like what's going on. Before we go to the AI, then just these terms, I mentioned many of them, that artificial intelligence, we can say that the sub-part that sometimes is used, but not always, as we saw in chess case, is machine learning. Machine learning is a method of optimizing some parameters against the data. But to make an AI, it's not needed. And machine learning can be used in systems that we don't call AI. So there isn't like one-to-one mapping, and they are even not kind of completely subfields of each other. And then there is a deep learning, which we can say that it is definitely a subfield of machine learning, that where they use deep neural networks to do the machine learning itself. So these are the main three buzzwords used, and I think machine learning is quite clear, deep learning is quite clear, and we're gonna think about AI. So I wanted to understand it myself. I've been working in AI for 15 years. I've got a PhD in AI. I was building the Starship robots. I was AI lead there. So I've been doing it basically all my life, I remember. And I didn't know the definition. I was confused myself. So I went and asked help from encyclopedia. AI, the ability of a machine to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. Sounds good. Kind of, not good enough maybe, because the nuclear simulation is quite advanced as well, but we don't like to call it AI. But it's all right. And I think by this definition, it's okay to say that the chess-playing engine is more AI than nuclear simulation. I thought that I'm going to go to the best source available, Wikipedia. There was something similar to the first definition, but then the second definition was that AI is whatever hasn't been done yet. That's definitely a good definition. The term AI changes over time, definitely. That's my favorite definition, comes from the PhD thesis of Shane Legg. He was the co-founder of DeepMind, and I really recommend you to read this thesis. It goes over about 100 different definitions for intelligence and categorizes them and groups them and formalizes them mathematically, and a lovely thesis. I recommend reading it. And his thesis was, it was the intelligence was the definition there, measures the agent's ability to achieve goals in a wide range of environments. And I think it's a very good definition. But it says the agent there, and before we talked about smartness and human-like ability and so on. So I simplified it to my definition of AI. It is something that is smart and agent-like. I think that's the thing that we are kind of saying, why we want to say that this deep blue playing chess is more AI than this more advanced thing with more machine learning and so on, because it doesn't feel agent-like. It's not a robot that moves around, it's not the stuff that interacts against you, it's doing something else. And I think that's a key part. And this agent word was there in previous definitions as well. And smart. Not that it's using machine learning or anything like this. And I think that's it. We will have questions in the end as well if you don't agree. But it seems that kind of coming this, I think these are the two keywords there. Okay, the next topic. Startups. The second thing I recommend you read is Startup Equals Growth, an essay by Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator and Hacker News and so on. A really, really good one, and it was recently translated to Estonian as well. It was in Postimees Arvamus and Kultuur by myself. So what's the main idea there? Why do we need a new vocabulary of words? Like it's like a startup, but it is just a company. Why do we need a new word? Why do we need a new word for investors? Why are we talking about angel investors and VC investors? Why are we giving stock options in startups but not in other companies? Like if I'm founding a restaurant, why don't I give stock options if I'm doing a restaurant to my employees? Like, why is this ecosystem different? Like what's going on there? And it's already in the title, it's related to growth. So let's assume that you have something already, that you have some kind of product. You have maybe 10,000 users or 10,000 of revenue. It's not a lot per month. It's a couple of salaries. So it's like that you have something, but this something can grow. Let's think that it can grow 5% a week. So if I'm multiplying this 10,000 by 1.05, so it means a 5% increase. I'm doing it 52 times, means there are 52 weeks in a year, and then I'm doing it for 5 years. The fonts are a bit broken. So it's the last number is 5. So I'm doing it for 5 years. I'm growing my company only for 5 years. And 5% a week, it doesn't seem so difficult. Like if you have 20 users in your social network, only one of them needs to invite a new user to your network. If you have 20 clients, you need to get one extra client. Only one for 20. So it seems that this kind of growth in the world of technology is completely achievable. It's nothing impossible. It seems even simple, and best companies are actually growing a lot faster. But what happens? I'm only there for 5 years with this company, only growing 5% a week, and in the end the number is 3 billion, which is about the valuation of TransferWise. So you would be the most powerful company in Estonia with just 5 years. And that's the key, this exponential growth, that the technology can grow exponentially. That's the main changing factor, or why it is so fundamentally different, why we can't use or why it makes sense to kind of add new words to the vocabulary. But it gets more crazy, that if we are doing it 8 years, so the same thing, 5% a week, doesn't seem impossible. We have already some business with 10,000 revenue, or with any other measure. If you do it for 8 years, it will be 6 trillion. So it will be more than all Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook combined. Just 8 years. Just out of 20 users, you will get one more every week, just 5% growth per week. And this kind of power of exponentiality, power of copying the software for free, makes it possible for these companies to grow extremely large. So a startup needs two components. It needs a large market, fast growth. It needs fast growth and a large market. So you need to grow fast and large. And if you have these two things, then you're there. And what happens? What other things happen there in this dynamic? If you have these things, then you can have a big return, but you also know that markets are efficient. VCs are not earning more than other funds. VCs are not kind of better than index funds. They're earning less than index funds. Investors cannot earn more. So, the world kind of behaves in a way that we can say that markets are efficient, meaning that if there is a huge reward somewhere, then due to the efficiency of the market, there must be huge risk. And then this craziness starts, that you can raise 1 million euros with 2 guys and the PowerPoint slides. Because it makes sense to do it so early, because sometimes you kind of get it right, the investor gets it right, and due to this exponential growth and big return, on average, then you are in profit. And this dynamic is very, very different. And that's why this dynamic is so different, and that's why we have these new words, and they help us to explain what is going on there. Okay, that's it about the two definitions. I'm going to very quickly talk about 3 cases that I've done myself in my life. I wrote this book, Matemaatika õpik. That's definitely not an AI, but what about startups? Maybe book is not a perfect example, but let's talk about movie. Making a movie. There is a huge payoff there as well. And indeed, there are some similarities to the startup world. High risk, high competition. They're also raising money, so there are some things there that are related, but still, the reward is a lot less. There is not a lot less of this growth there because it's more one-off. If it's released, then in next year you will know how it behaves and so on. So the dynamic is still a bit different, but there are some similarities. I was working in STARTUp Technologies for almost 4 years. That's my daughter, Laura. She was driving around, but now it's made illegal in Estonia to transport humans, but at that time it was fine. So big market was one needed thing. There is this vision of Starship that if you take a very, very grand scale of thing, that if you go to the 19th century, then this energy transportation was seamless. So the energy went from one place to another. You could buy a light bulb in New York, and then new energy flew there. It wasn't there anymore a guy carrying some logs or some wood or whatever. Energy was flowing automatically from one place to another. In the last century, the same thing happened with information. We were having telephones and telegrams and TVs and radios and then internet and so on. So the information started to flow seamlessly. And by all the predictions in this century, I'm extremely sure about it, the same thing will happen to transportation. So we're going to start moving physical atoms, matter, everywhere seamlessly, meaning that humans are not involved anymore. They're taken from factories and with machines and drive around, the stuff moves around. So the impact to the society will be about as large as it was for the energy and information it will be for matter. And that's a very startup thing to say, isn't it? It is a huge market. You're going there to do something big. Then, of course, you need to have the reality. You need to make it happen. It is a reality of today. They are doing it. And they're growing extremely fast. I don't know exact growth numbers anymore, but I left just recently, and then this number was tiny. Now it's about more than 40,000 commercial deliveries per month, and being operationally profitable, at least in some areas. So huge growth, huge market, a startup. I founded a startup recently, in end of summer. A proper startup story as well. This is the team. First one is Kasper, my brother. For example, he was a startupper. He left e-residency and started making a startup, but he even didn't have an idea what to do. So he sat down in an office and said that now he's a startupper. So it means that he went after these ideas. And Martin Rand is exited from his previous startup, Vitafields, was sold to Monsanto. So proper startupper, a very short, short period of time, starting company, exiting, and so on. So we got this money from these lovely gentlemen to start the stuff. So we need something big as well. What are we doing? We are saying that the world business is done via negotiations. People are not perfect from doing negotiations. There are a lot of kind of things that we think not do well. For example, we think that if the contract gets better for myself, then it must get worse for the other party, which is just not true. Usually, if you're making a trade-off, then it gets better for both parties. Otherwise, you cannot improve the contract because the other party wouldn't accept it. But we have these things, and then in the global research and science, they say that about 20–30% of value is lost in the deals. If the parameters will be better for the contract, then we will gain value out of nothing. And that's our vision. We're going to leave strategy for humans and execution for businesses done by machines, and we're trying to achieve planetary level GDP growth without additional waste, without starting producing anything, just optimizing some parameters. And that's how we do it. We are annotating the contract, we are finding the values for different terms, like if you will be getting money a bit earlier, like how much it will be worth for our client. Then we are designing negotiation flows, and then there is a negotiation. So I think it is a startup. We don't know yet the growth rates, but we are working on it. It's interesting that we don't use any machine learning there. So we are designing these things not in a machine learning way, but we have already achieved superhuman results, being better than human negotiators. It feels agent-like. It achieves superhuman results. It is thinking in high-dimensional space and mathematically. So I'm very confident saying that it is an AI, although that we don't use machine learning or natural language processing. And the same funny stuff was about Starship as well. When I went there, then Starship robots were already moving around and being autonomous and self-driving, but there was, again, no machine learning there at that point. Now there is a lot. But still, we would say that it is an AI. So I gave a definition of AI and startup, and in these cases of Starship and Pactum, in early stage, they were both startups, and they were both AI, although neither of them used machine learning. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristjan. It's very interesting with your tool, Pactum. So how long has Pactum been a company for?
Since July.
Since July, okay. So pretty fresh.
Yeah.
And how, I mean, that looked very nice. You said, how far are you along to a usable product working? Like, I mean, is...
We have a lot of clients already, and we are doing real-life automated negotiations. We have been better than their employees before, and the partners with whom we are talking to, they have preferred our system because we are very considerate and thinking about their side of the story as well, in order to win more for ourselves. But we're always thinking about them. So we are doing it, and we are there, and we are not planning to do any pivots or anything. I think we need to just make it right and scale.
Sure. Is there some, let's say, skepticism in the legal industry? Like, first of all, what's this AI going to do? This is, people think it's impossible or something to automate this. And not only that, I mean, are people worried you're putting lawyers out of work?
I guess we are not doing legal tech at all, because we are not making the contracts. We are not thinking what should be the wording and so on. we are more doing business development, thinking in a strategic level what will be better for the company. So it's more like a strategic consultancy thing that we are writing into code, and then our machines are executing for business, but the legal stuff is still written by lawyers, and maybe we even need more of them because we want to have more complex and more smart contracts.
Excellent. More lawyers, more complex contracts. Good work. Thank you for helping humanity. You're a true savior. Oh, good. Anyway, Kristjan, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, mate. Round of applause.